Welcome to the Internet Chess Club. Checkmate.
Okay, welcome everyone. This is International Master Alex Lenderman, presenting you with another video on one of the popular opening these days called the Caro-Kann Advance, which seems to be pretty successful for black lately, starting with e4, c6 for black to hold on to a draw in big events. And then usually white plays d4 to control the center. Black plays d5, trying to control the d5 square, and then this bishop wants to try to get out. So if the pawn moves, this bishop can come out somehow. So that's the idea of the Caro-Kann rather than the French, and avoiding any possible tricks over the f7 or anything like that. So the line I would recommend here, there are a lot of lines here of course, but the line I would recommend here the most is the e5, the advanced pawn variation, how it's called. Several ideas. Probably not the best idea to take because it simplifies black's game and helps black develop the knight. And also knight c3 transposes into many different lines where you have to know a lot of theory. So e5 is the simplest, most logical move in my opinion, just having an unbalanced center and trying to keep setting challenges, letting this pawn be in the way of that knight. So now, if black plays e6, it's just a bad bishop, a bad French, losing a tempo. So what usually black plays is they develop the bishop to an active square on f5, just to try to get the bishop out, and then play e6 and have this bishop develop. Now there are a lot of moves here that you can do. The move I would recommend is actually a simple, solid, logical move, which has actually not been played in a lot of games, but I think it's a pretty effective move. And the move is bishop d3. Now why bishop d3 instead of bishop e3 or knight e2, whatever is played most of the time? Well, several ideas. This bishop on f5 looks like a good piece, right? Developed, attacks here a little bit, controls a lot of squares. And this bishop on f1 is just out, just developing. So it would be a good idea to trade them off, and that helps white also get the queen out to the game. So helps white gain a tempo. And let's say black takes knight d7. Now white has a lot of different ideas which could be very effective for white, including the pawn sacrifice e6 to gain a lot of space. And now if f takes, you can play f4, knight d2, knight f3, with ideas like knight g5 and knight e5, and black has a very tough position. So already black can find himself in a tough position starting this moment. I mean, what else can black do? A lot of them play e6 now that this bishop is traded. But then also white has a strong idea to try to put pressure and attack. Probably a good idea to start with bishop e3, just to prolong the c5 idea. And then if, say, knight e7, you can play f4, the idea knight f3, knight d2. And then you have a very solid pawn structure, very solid center, followed by castles, and then possibly even g4, f5 at some point. And then definitely white might have a pretty strong attack going on, whereas on the queen side, white's pretty safe with a solid center and everything is solid. So this seems like a pretty interesting line for white. Now, I'm going to show you one of my games that I played against a strong international master, Jay Bonin, in an action event. It was actually played a long time ago, but I think it's a pretty instructive game. Now, he played knight a6,